Good morning, viewers. Welcome to another project with a guy and his projects. Today we have a 2006 Chrysler Town Country. It's got the 3.8 liter, but that information matters not at all for this job. All we're doing today is we're draining the radiator and refilling it with coolant. If you want to watch a video where I take this radiator out, which I'm also doing today, but I'm going to do it in a different video, I take the radiator out and replace it, as well as the hoses, the thermostat, the gasket, the bypass tube, all that. I overhaul the entire cooling system minus the water pump. I'll link that video up here, that corner, I don't know which corner, when at the end of this video. It'll also be linked down below throughout the whole video. What do you know? So if you want to see that whole process, there's that. And I'm going to show you how to drain your radiator and refill it here. For the typical individual just replacing the radiator, all they're going to have to do is refill it. Therefore, that's what this video is about. Just draining and refilling your radiator with some quality coolant to keep you going. That being said, there's only two things you need to purchase for this job on this vehicle, if providing you already have a drip pan yeah, that's all you need to have is a drip pan of some sort and two other things. The only things you're gonna have to buy is a little 80-cent jug of distilled water. This is 80 cents at my local Walmart. Don't go crazy, that's all you need. And you're going to need a gallon of concentrated coolant. Okay, now if you don't want to buy the concentrated, you want to buy the 50-50 pre-mix. It's not a wise financial decision in my book. You're going to be using most of it anyway. Just get the concentrate, mix it, save you a lot of money. This was $19 concentrated. That distilled water was 80 cents, so I'm out less than $20 for all the coolant I need. If you get the premix, then you need to buy two of these, and for this particular brand that was $17. So you end up spending a lot of money for something you don't need. So anywho, I'm using Xerox. It's a Valvoline G05. This is this manufacturer, Chrysler, and this vehicle calls for the HOAT coolant. That's hybrid organic acid technology. There's a lot of coolants out there, a lot of bottles that'll say this mixes with any other color. True or not? I'm sure it is true. You can mix anything you want to in the world, and it doesn't matter, and it doesn't mean it works. If it does work, cool, go for it, do what you want to do. Personally, I like to do what the manufacturer recommends. I get a lot of miles out of my vehicles, and that's been one of my things going through my entire life, is stick with the manufacturer recommendations for the most part, within reason, and it's worked out well for me, so I continue to do that. If you want to mix, mix. I'm not telling you not to, I'm just telling you I don't typically. So, that being said, there's very little to this job, very easy to do. In fact, you'd probably be almost done with it by now if you weren't listening to me talk and you just started on it. So, let's get started. Okay, so you're going to want your catch pan and a splatter pan underneath. It will splatter. This is not going to catch everything that does splatter. Just be aware of that, but you want to catch the majority. As far as your drain cock on this vehicle, the radiators come with little drain petcocks. Makes it really handy, except they put it in a place where you can't really get to it. But so looking down here, this big white blob is your reservoir tank. This is the side fan. You're on the driver's side of the vehicle. Right where those two hoses get clamped together, those rubber hoses get clamped to aluminum, there is a little valve. If you have the stock radiator, it's probably red, which is even worse because it's harder to turn. This one is black. It just unscrews all the way out. It's not a valve, it's a actual plug. So you'll just unscrew that and your coolant will start flowing. Some people will tell you to go ahead and take this off first. I am not an advocate of that. You take this off after you open that plug. If you take it off now while you're under there opening it, all that fluid is going to have nothing holding it back, and it's just going to splash all over you. If you leave this in until after you take that plug out, you have a moment to get out of the way before that nastiness occurs. Okay, first step, reach down, grab that drain,
plug and screw it all the way out. Yours is probably red. After that, take off the radiator cap and you will see how much fluid comes out at that point. That is why we do the valve or plug before the cap. It just eliminates a lot of mess. That's going to drain for a while, so we'll come back. After it's done, go ahead and clean up. Note that your drip pan did not catch everything. Get it off your concrete or dilute it so it doesn't eat up. And you can now replace your plug. Screw it on in. It's a pain in the butt to get to, but it's there. You're now going to fill up your radiator and your lower hose and whatever gravity will push to. So you just keep dumping in. As you fill it up, bubbles will come back out. This is where it helps to have your vehicle on ramps because it makes a high point for the air to escape. Quick tip, put your jug sideways and you'll do a lot less splashing. Alright, once the air bubble slowed down, reach over to the upper radiator hose and give it some squeezing. This will help push any air out of the system as well. It's not going to give you a lot of bubbles, but it will get some. It's worth doing. Sometimes if you press, squeeze, and hold, it helps. And top her back off again. You're going to do this several times. I didn't record all of it. At this point, you can go ahead and turn your vehicle on, crank it over, and your radiator cap is still off at this point, by the way. You are going to take your fans, both front and back, turn them all the way up, and then you're going to put the heater all the way on. This is just going to help open the heater core, which will allow all the air to escape. Now you don't go ahead and open your back door so it doesn't get to be 5 billion degrees inside the cabin there. And over here you're just going to monitor that coolant temperature. Over here, when you first turn the van back on, it's going to bubble because everything's going to get shaken up. A lot of air bubbles are going to come out. Just keep on top of it, fill it back up. To the bottom of the filler neck is best, not as full as I'm doing here because I'm dumb and I like making messes, but don't worry about the steam. It was cold out that morning and everything was hot. Now while you're waiting for the thermostat to open so that you can finish filling it up, go ahead and mark all your jugs as 50-50 or whatever you're going to do. I'm going to mix all my jugs right now so I don't have to worry about it later. It's just something I prefer to do. All you're doing is putting half water and half coolant in there. This coolant, by the way, is a light shade of yellow as a concentrate. Then you add water to it and it becomes even a lighter shade of yellow. So when pouring it, it pretty much looks clear. Alright, go back, it's still idling, and you can fill it back up. The thermostat just opened, so you're going to be able to put quite a bit of coolant in there. I think I did another 1.5 gallons at this point. Just fill her on back up. And notice we're pretty much done with air bubbles at this point, so you can go ahead and put your cap back on, and that's it, folks. Thanks for watching.
Alright guys, changing your coolant or antifreeze is that easy. That's all there is to it. It's easier than I even make it look in the video. All you got to do is drain the old coolant out of the bottom of the radiator and fill it back up. Burping it is what takes a while. Okay, so burping it is a pain in the butt, especially on this vehicle in particular. I don't know why it didn't really want to release the air bubbles until that thermostat opened, and then, I mean, after the thermostat opened, I put in another, I think, 1.5 gallons of coolant into the radiator. So on that note, it's important to remember that when you turn your vehicle on and you turn the heat up, turn the fans on, what you're doing is you're just warming up that engine block as fast as you can, essentially, because it'll take forever if you don't do those. And that thermostat's going to open, it's going to let that
air out as the water pump pumps new coolant in. So when that happens, if you don't have coolant in the radiator, you are going to have, well, your engine's going to overheat. So you got to have that coolant in the radiator ready to go into the engine, essentially. And when that happens, you're going to want to refill the radiator as fast as you can. I mean, don't stress about it, don't sweat it, but stay on top of it. There are tools to make this super easy. There's a vacuum type tool. It's like 120 bucks. I don't own one. I want to own one, but it's not necessary. There's also a funnel type tool, which of course doesn't work with Chrysler because Chrysler's stupid, but it works on both my Nissans, and I'm going to be doing a flush in the car here soon because I had to mix fluids on a trip, which is not my preference. So I'm going to end up flushing that out here soon, and I will use the funnel on that video, and I'll show you guys how. So there's that. Other than that, I mean, shoot, I'm going to pick you guys up and move you here. Okay, you got your van up to, got your vehicle up to operating temperature. I don't know why that's flashing in the camera. I don't know if it will in the video. It's not flashing in real life. That's really odd, actually. Anyway, so you've got your temperature back up to operating temp. Over here, my contacts are drying out because it's so hot. That says, you probably can't tell, but it's saying about 168 degrees, give or take, blowing out of the heater core. So that's how you do it. Your engine stays cool. It's very important, though. Let me turn you around again. It's very important, though, that you get all the air bubbles out of the system. It takes a while, I know. Be patient. If you don't get the air bubbles out of the system and you're driving down the freeway, you may run into overheating issues, which you do not want. So be patient. It's going to take you 10, 15, 20 minutes, but it's worth it to get it done right. It's very easy. I want to rank this job on a 1 beer scale. Not because it's tough, but because there's a lot of sitting around waiting. That's the only reason. So if you liked what you saw, make sure you give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button for sure. And watch more of my videos. Don't forget to share them. If you got comments, comment them down. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, so as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, if you want to see the radiator replacement, the hoses, the bypass tube, the thermostat housing, the gasket, all that stuff, I replaced it today as well. So it's pretty much a whole new system. The only thing that's not new is the water pump. So if you want to see that video, be sure to click on the corner wherever that suggested video thing shows up. I'll put it, and I'll link it down in the comments below as well. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.